Hello to you all beautiful freedom fighters. Welcome to 2C TV. Welcome to the first update of the day and some chaotic reaction to what Israel did yesterday. The Qatari HQ of the committee responsible for reconstruction of Gaza was targeted. In this video, we're going to talk about the reaction to that and, of course, everything else around the Arab world in general, what they've been doing and saying over the last couple of days. Because apart from their reaction to this news that I'm going to explain, they are slightly divided, let's just say, the Arab world. All thanks to President Joe Biden. No, actually the other one. No thanks to Joe Biden. All thanks to President Donald J. Trump with his Abraham Accords and the peace treaties between the Arab world and Israel over the last obviously few years. So we're going to be talking about why the Arab world are divided and why they're having a meltdown. So, hello to everybody in the live chat. Welcome to today's live stream. Let's talk about this headquarters, the Qatari headquarters. The committee that's been responsible for the reconstruction of Gaza. It's been going on since 2018, this so-called entity and building, and they've discovered some dodgy activities around there. And of course, Qatar have been hosting the leaders of Hamas. Qatar have been, let's just say, for legal reasons, indirectly sponsoring Hamas as an organization. So we know that they are responsible for a lot of things that have happened, and we know that Saudi Arabia, who are trying to be more diplomatic, they have actually agreed at times that Qatar do cross the line sometimes. And we're trying to be polite about Qatar, by the way, because they've gone completely insane. So what's actually happened here is that Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Oman, Egypt and Jordan, along with the Gulf Cooperation Council and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, have condemned Israeli airstrikes on the headquarters of the Qatari committee responsible for Gaza's reconstruction. Now, I am going to explain this committee. I'm going to explain what it is. I'm going to explain what they've been doing since 2018, by the way. But at the same time, this is normal. This is not really a big deal. Having UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia being part of this club condemning the airstrikes. They have to. It's because they are part of the same club. They know that if Qatar is having a meltdown, they're going to have to support them, and it's because it's part of the Arab League anyway. It doesn't mean that every single Arab country is now anti-Israel, and in fact we're going to prove this to you. First things first, let's go to the reactions from each country. Because this is actually very important. I have a feeling this news is not going to be analyzed or assessed by the mainstream media. You're not going to hear much about this in the mainstream media the way we're talking about this together. Firstly, Saudi's foreign ministry have said, well, this is blatant aggression by the occupation forces on the Qatari committee's headquarters. As usual, UAE strongly condemned the attack on the committee's headquarters, emphasizing the need for an immediate ceasefire. They love their ceasefire. Kuwait have also condemned, describing it as a crime and a heinous act. And then they said, well, they would put an end to these Israeli violations carried out under transparent pretexts and lies exposed to the world. Oman have also come out to condemn, showing solidarity with Doha in Qatar and affirming that this attack constitutes a new and blatant violation of international law. We even had Egypt condemning, saying, well, it's a new blatant extension of Israeli violations. You can see that it's all coordinated. It's like they have the same PR advisor getting together, doing the same press release, just copy and pasting it, changing a few words. Jordan also condemned, of course, saying it's a crime. So that's basically it. So they've hit the Qatari headquarters of the committee responsible for Gaza's reconstruction, which is a little bit dodgy. The Arab world, the Arab League in general, are defending Qatar. Makes sense. But having said that, yesterday, over the last 2 days, they've also been having meetings. Why not talk about this? Why not talk about the fact that the Arab world are extremely divided? Because again, Trump, when he was president, he came and He did divide and conquer in a good way, in a peaceful way. He got some of the countries to start talking to Israel, normalizing relations and everything else. So when they got together, and Iran got there as well, and Iran, the Iranian president Raisi and the Saudi Arabia, for the first time they met in over a decade, because they were not friends either. But enemy of an enemy is a friend situation is happening right now in the Middle East. So they all got together with Bashar al-Assad and all the other nutters saying, yeah, okay, let's come up with a plan to destroy the Jews. And then you had division. Of course, you had division. At the OIC meeting, the Arab countries met with a new proposal, which was to cut the ties with Israel, oil embargo, and everything else. The opposition came from 4 key countries: Saudi Arabia, Jordan, UAE, and Egypt, who blocked, well, the rumor, then it got confirmed that they blocked the proposals. 11 members of that session, the Arab world and the Iranians, supported these measures. This rejection is according to the diplomats who spoke on conditions of anonymity, meaning the exact reasons are not clear as to why, basically. Well, we know why, and I'm going to explain why. But this might be tied to these Arab countries being at different stages of normalization of ties with Israel. It's not just that. Look at the 4 countries that took Israel's side on this. Saudi Arabia, they have a problem with both Qatar and Iran. They also don't want the troublemakers from Gaza to go there. Jordan and Egypt, they are right next door when it comes to Israel and those territories. Egypt and Jordan have been very vocal that they do not want to deal with the Palestinians. So despite the fact that only a few decades ago, we had all these countries uniting behind the Palestinian cause, they literally coordinated a number of attacks on Israelis and the Jews. All those days are gone, ladies and gentlemen. Those days are gone, because by strengthening Israel as a nation, you have forced their hands, you've forced them to essentially normalize ties. And again, credit to Trump as well, but it's not just because of that. It's been the inevitable outcome of civility being spread. Doesn't mean that everybody in Saudi Arabia or UAE are now civilized. Talking about that you're forcing the establishments to actually act in a civilized manner. Considering Jordan and Egypt are next door, they should by default be on the sides of Hamas and Hezbollah, but they're not. They're scared. They know that they rely on the West too much. UAE, on the other hand, of course, they've been acting as in case you didn't know, UAE have been acting as a buffer, but they've also been a bunch of liars who go and get oil and gas from Iran, and mostly oil from Iran, and then they sell it to the world. So all these people who think, oh, we've banned oil from Iran, they've got all these embargoes, we've got all these sanctions. You know what they do? They sell it to UAE, and UAE sell it to us in an expensive way. So don't trust them, obviously. They also go to Qatar every now and then, whisper in their ear, saying, yeah, Saudi, they're coming for you. Listen to your masters in Iran. And then they go to Iran and say, Qatar is not listening to you. It's a complete mess. And all this has been exposed anyway. And WikiLeaks also exposed so much about the relationship between the Arab world, all these countries. So it's all been exposed slowly. But let's go to the reaction from Israel, because again, the government are becoming more robust, although they've kind of changed their positions a few times over the last month or so. Let's be honest. Netanyahu seems to be all over the place as well. But he said, first step in deterring Hezbollah is to defeat Hamas in the south. True. It's necessary, but I don't know if it will be sufficient. Now, on the ceasefire issue, it said a general ceasefire is for releasing hostages. Temporary humanitarian ceasefires are different. What exactly? Ceasefire is literally in the word ceasefire. Ceasefire is not peace. Ceasefire is supposed to be temporary anyway. So at this point, in this situation, this context. So I agree with the Israeli government. We also had, of course, Eli Cohen, foreign minister, coming out to say, I say to our enemies from the south and north, your day has come. So this is the speculations that Israel might do a preemptive offense on Lebanon and Hezbollah to stop them from regrouping and getting Iran to give them more money. So I could see that happening. But the main problem is Israel going to be losing international support? Not from the West, but all the others, including, of course, Saudi Arabia and UAE and Jordan and Egypt. So it is all about the perception. Unfortunately, the whole world and the whole geopolitics is about perception. It's not really about truth. Facts and truth don't matter when it comes to geopolitical conflicts. It's either about propaganda or just defending your perception. So this is what we have. Eli Cohen said, we are working on the borderline and deep within the territory to remove any threat. So as long as they keep this position in terms of perception, that this is self-defense, it's fine. The moment they come across as they are doing more offensive rather than counter-offense, then it's going to be tricky, because the United Nations, a bunch of corrupt idiots in New York, those guys are always ready to find an excuse to attack the Jews. So do not give them any excuse at this point. Anyway, so that's kind of what they're supposed to be having. But let's go back to talk about this, the Qatari headquarters that we mentioned, of the committee, the Qatari committee responsible for the reconstruction of Gaza. So this was hit yesterday, and the Arab world came to condemn Israel. What a surprise. But who are these guys? So considering, as I said, Qatar have been hosting the Hamas leadership, essentially sponsoring Hamas as an entity, what have they been doing since 2018? In 2018, which is now, 5 years ago? Well, time flies. 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, Qatar went to Gaza and they had a meeting and they decided to set up this new building. Chairman of the Qatari National Committee for the Reconstruction of Gaza, Mohammed Al-Emadi, revealed the details of the disbursement of the recent Qatari grant. So look at that, $9 million. $9 million were given by Qatar to Gaza, to Hamas in Gaza, to help the poor, to help the homeless, to help the families who are in need, to build them nicer hospitals and schools and residential areas. Well, the problem with that was that Hamas took that money, built mansions for themselves. Some of them used the money to actually go to travel to Qatar itself. And we've exposed the actual details of what happens inside Gaza, until now. All the luxury places and hotels and, again, penthouses that they have, they built them for themselves. The rest of the population in Gaza completely abandoned. This press release is from the 19th of February 2018. Speaking on Monday during a press conference at the Al-Shifa Medical Complex in Gaza. It always goes back to Al-Shifa. Same place with a lot of the tunnels and everything else that was discovered. Al-Emadi said that $2.6 million would be allocated for food parcels, blankets, 500,000 for hospital fuel. Hospital fuel. Do you think they're talking about hospital fuel as in for the hospital? No. It's for the bunkers. It's for the tunnels. That's what they've been doing. Sewage pumps and the Ministry of Health, which is basically like the Ministry of Truth, coming up with random numbers like Diane Abbott on gin and tonic, noting that they will be good for a month. He added that $2 million will be dedicated to medicine. Yeah, Qatar is giving money to Hamas in Gaza. It's definitely going to go to ordinary people who are in need in Gaza. Yeah, I believe you. I absolutely believe you. As for renovating homes of the poor, Al-Emadi said that $1 million, that's all they need basically, was allocated for that purpose, while another $1 million will be used to pay the fees of the university students. Finally, $2 million will be allocated for humanitarian and morbidity cases. You do realize nothing actually happened. Since 2018, when they set up this committee to reconstruct Gaza with the help of Qataris, poverty has gone up, education standards gone down, and there are people more in need in Gaza. Obviously, now it's been destroyed. And none of these people actually said anything. And none of the so-called community leaders in Gaza, the ordinary civilians, where were they? when they were being betrayed. Those who are not on the side of Hamas, those who claim they're not on the side of Hamas, where were they? Why did they not rise up to take back control of their own land against the Hamas leadership? So at some point, we always say the state of politics and politicians is a mirror held at the people themselves. All of us, depending on what country we are, it is a representation of the situation in the country. If you have a dictatorship, if you have a liberal democracy, if you have monarchy, if you have anything, it is the state, it is a mirror held at the nation itself, because it's up to the people to change it if they want to. And I know it's easy to say, but the world used to be like this, where, well, using any means, whether it's pushing the politicians to change their ways, or sometimes by force, sometimes we've done revolutions. It's up to the people. And I know you're going to say, well, you're just sitting there comfortably telling people from different countries to do revolutions. I'm saying objectively, academically speaking, I'm saying that. I'm not encouraging them to do anything. That's the same applies to Iranians. Then the problem with Iran is that the uprising continues against the Islamic occupation, but the problem with Iranians is that Iranians are not revolutionary people. They are like the Anglo-Saxons. The Arab world are like the French. They love revolutions. The problem with the Iranians not being revolutionary is that against the Islamic occupation of the 1979, we've seen protest after protest. We've seen attempts at uprising. But the young and the unprofessionals and the rebellious people, the moment the regime comes for them, arrest a few of them, shoot a couple of them, they all run away. They all come to the West, whether it's Turkey or, again, the UK or America, and they mostly become refugees. And same applied to my mother, but my mother wasn't really a political person anyway, so she actually unintentionally became a political refugee and came here. But those who fought on the streets, the moment things got tough, they left Iran. So there are people in Iran who are still living in Iran, and they want help, they want to fight against their government, but they can't, because all those who came and started the uprising, they all ran away. Again, you can't blame them, they're human. You know, if someone's coming for you, you run away. But now they're standing in London, in Paris, in New York, in LA, protesting, Iranians, saying, yeah, go Iranians, do the revolution on my behalf. You left. So I'm just saying, I'm being tough. This is tough love. I'm not blaming them. You run away. When someone comes for you, you run away. But there's no more manpower. People in Iran are losing their motivation. They're losing the energy to fight back. So that's why a lot of people say, what's happening with Iran? You know, there's uprising all the time, but nothing's happening. Eventually, it's going to have to happen. But you're going to have to wait for braver people to keep coming. And again, there has to be, unfortunately, might be a situation where there will be a conflict with Israel. And then the Iranians will use that as to their advantage. So that's the reality. So there's that. But this whole situation with the Qataris, ignore the overreaction, ignore the noise, because none of this matters. We know that this entity, the so-called Committee to Reconstruct Gaza, was based on a lie, probably a lot of money laundering involved. You had the United Nations involved. In case you don't know, United Nations officers have been around the area. They are always there to help. What do they do with the money? Money laundering, potentially, allegedly, legally speaking. So that's what we have. But one issue is the fact that don't worry about the reaction from the Arab world, because on the overall issue, they are divided, and they still got Egypt and Jordan and Saudi Arabia, UAE to be on the side of Israel. Let's go to the live chat, get your reaction quickly as well. Tony says, all aid that goes into Gaza gets a Hamas tax of 16%, and now they have 4 billionaire leaders. The problem with the Islamic dictatorships is that it's basically the Islamic political ideology is essentially socialism, is government control. So it's what we call is Islamic socialist ideology is that, and Iran is a good example as well. EE says about the Iranian situation, the woke, over-civilized young generations you see on the streets and in Iran who rose up do not get it. They don't understand the true brutality of this pure Islam. So it is tricky, because the Iranian younger generation obviously have seen what's been happening to them in Iran, but they've also become very Western anyway. And they're not revolutionary people. So you can't really expect from the Iranians, who are still continuing the uprising, you know, they're still going on. but without any results yet. It is a very tough situation if they don't have the support, if they don't have the manpower. Again, as I said, compare the Persian culture is very similar to the Anglo-Saxons. That's why a lot of Iranians find it easy to integrate in Britain or in America as well. They don't find it easy to integrate in France or Germany, for example. But neither the Brits, English, nor the Iranians are revolutionary. So, obviously, England did a revolution once, and they changed their mind, saying, yeah, it's probably a bad idea. Get rid of Cromwell. He was supposed to be the savior. He became a dictator himself. Let's bring back the monarchy, and they brought in Charles II. More complicated than that, but obviously that was the gist of it. All right, let's go back to you guys again. Kim says, Maya and Douglas Murray are the only people I can bear to listen to at the moment. I'm actually going to be, obviously, I'm sure you know now, this weekend I'm going to be in Israel, as the conspiracy theorist said, to go pick up my paycheck from Mossad. Apparently I'm being funded by them. But I'm going to be meeting up hopefully with Douglas Murray, a friend of mine, who's still there. The guy is just going around. I don't understand how he doesn't get scared of the situation. He gets close to the border situation as well. So I'm going to go learn something from him in terms of how to avoid getting destroyed. But we'll do that. Yes, I recommend you get on your channel, Mossab Hassan Youssef. Yes, I have actually got in touch with Mossab. Mossab is the son of the Hamas founder, previous leader. And yeah, I'm still waiting to hear from him. If anyone knows Mossab, feel free to get in touch. He was basically the son of the Hamas, the Green Prince, whatever they called him, but he actually defected to the West. He defected to our side, and he gave us a lot of intel to the West against Hamas leadership, and now he's basically living freely, but he's always under attack by the Islamists, obviously, because he's a traitor in their eyes. Thank you, E, for your super sticker support. And we have also Kim with your super chat saying, stay resolute, stay safe, Maya. Thank you very much for the support. We'll give you guys, if you just joined us now, we're going to go through the summary of what you've missed. Don't worry about that. We always do that in case, because we want to interact with you guys throughout the live stream rather than you scrolling back to the beginning anyway. It's all part of the conversation. Another super chat as well. There was a ceasefire before the 7th of October. It was broken by Hamas. And now it is up to Israel to decide when the operation has finished. Exactly. Cloud Strife is spot on. We literally had the ceasefire on the 6th of October. What happened after midnight? Ceasefire is not peace, essentially. Okay, so let's go to the summary of this topic, and then I'm going to get more of your reaction as well. If you have any questions, bring it on. The headquarters of the committee responsible for reconstruction of Gaza has been targeted yesterday, and the Arab world decided to have a meltdown about it, obviously because they don't want to anger their friends in Qatar. Why was Qatar using millions of dollars in Gaza to reconstruct it when they didn't actually do anything? We're going to get into that again as well. They've been doing this project for at least 5 years. Nothing was done for people in poverty in Gaza. But at the same time, Hamas leadership got very rich. They got penthouses in Qatar. Surprise, surprise. So they hit the headquarters of Qatar in Gaza and Israel. The reaction was that, the justification was, we've been doing our research and discovered there's a lot of dodgy activity going around. And they obviously discovered more tunnels and more shelters for the Hamas thugs. That's why they hit it. And but you had Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Egypt, and Jordan, all alongside Qatar, condemning Israel. So everyone said, "Oh man, this is it. This is the end of the world as we know it. The Arab world are going to start a coordinated attack on Israel." No, everybody, calm down, because that's not the reality of the situation. You have a list of all these countries condemning, but you can see, as we read it before. It feels like they all got together with their PR officers to do a similar press statement and then just copy and paste and change a few words. They're all using the same words as usual. But the reality of the situation is, previous day, yesterday and the last couple of days, these guys got together. The Arab world got together. All of them. Assad and even the Iranians got there. President Raisi and all that. But they were all divided because these guys came up with a plan, a proposal to destroy Israel and to do embargo, oil embargo, sanctions and all that nonsense. But 4 key nations decided to block the proposal. It was initially rumored, but we got the confirmation now, luckily. The 4 nations were Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, and the UAE. Interesting, right? So obviously, Jordan and Egypt right next door to Israel. Saudi Arabia, still a rival to Qatar. UAE, you can't trust them. That's basically the gist of it because of the dodgy relationship they have with all the Arabs. UAE go to Iran, say one thing. They go to Qatar, say something else. They take oil from Iran, then they sell it to the West, pretending it's their own oil. And I love how nobody actually questions it. We are basically getting more expensive oil, Iranian oil, because we're getting it from a third party. And everybody seems to be fine with it. The whole geopolitical game is based on lies. Whether it's the United Nations, the American institutions, or the Easterners. It is absolutely disgusting. But the reaction from Israel is they're not giving up and they're still sending warnings to Hezbollah in Lebanon as well. Saying the first step in deterring Hezbollah is to defeat Hamas in the south. It is necessary, but I don't know if it will be sufficient. It's interesting because if you had told me in September or on the 6th of October, the day before, hypothetically, if Israel had the choice to start targeting their enemies, I would have started with Hezbollah because it would be easier to take out Hezbollah, then go for Hamas. But now it's the other way around. People were always scared of Hezbollah because of the direct backing of Iran. But we've also seen that the Iranians are a bunch of cowards. So they didn't actually back their own friends in Hezbollah. The founder of Hezbollah had a meltdown last week. He said, well, the Iranians are betraying us. They're as bad as the Jews. Calm down there. But that's what we have. And I'm going to, again, if you just joined us late, I'm going to explain the reality with the situation with this Qatari headquarters, what it is, what they were doing there. But first, I did get this nice comment. Maya, get yourself on GB News more often if you can. You will get a bigger audience there. Well, for the record, ladies and gentlemen, 2CTV gets more views than GB News. So my advice to people on GB News presenters, if you want to get a bigger audience, feel free to come on 2CTV, come on my channel and be a guest and be a contributor. And yes, you could get more views like our channel as well. So no, I don't need GB News. GB News would need 2CTV. All right, let's go to this issue with this so-called Qatari headquarters, right? Basically, there's this committee that they set up in 2018, the new entity, the new upgraded version, and the building that the Israelis hit yesterday. And it is the press release we have from the 19th of February. The chairman of the Qatari National Committee of the Reconstruction of Gaza, Al-Amadi, revealed the details that they're going to be giving $9 million to Gaza, essentially to Hamas, to spend it in Gaza, right? They didn't do that. Instead, the Hamas leadership started to make a lot of money, and then they got all these penthouses. But the details are interesting. Firstly, the press conference was held at Al-Shifa Medical Complex. Of course, the same hospital that's been responsible for a lot of tunnels and everything else. Al-Amadi said that $2.6 million will be allocated for food parcels, blankets, and all the other stuff. 500,000 for hospital fuels. Oh, that's sexy. Yeah. And sewage pumps and everything else. And the Minister of Health. Yeah, always, absolutely. $2 million for medicine. Then they had $1 million left. That $1 million was given to renovating the homes of the poor, and another $1 million to pay the fees of the university students. Finally, $2 million was allocated for humanitarian and morbidity cases. None of that happened, by the way, because poverty continued to go up in Gaza. Universities just turned into re-brainwashing camps, and they all became soldiers. They trained them up to become soldiers since childhood. And we are where we are now, ladies and gentlemen. This is the truth about Gaza. This is the truth about Qatar and their relationship with the Hamas leadership. Do not listen to the mainstream media. Firstly, they won't even tell you any of this. But even if they do, they will probably just find a way to blame the Christians and the Jews and probably 2CTV. So we are responsible for all the chaos in the world, and we are proud of it. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to have a couple of more updates for you guys later today as the news comes in. If you have not subscribed, how dare you? Subscribe to the channel. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.